Welcome in. How's everybody's weekend, y'all? How y'all doing out there, man? Welcome, man. We back at it again. Yes, Sirski. Got a couple games to go over. Just a couple. Hey. Oh man. It's about to be the Knicks tonight. I got a good feeling, man. I got a good feeling. Welcome back to another episode of the Jayson Estrera podcast, where we talk about basketball as accurate as possible. Now, we had a couple of game sevens over the weekend, 2 game sevens to be exact. Both of them were blowouts. We had a game 1. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, man. Warriors! Knicks about to be killed tonight. Hello, Bruce. Oh, man. Never change, Bruce. Never change. I don't think he's ever said hi to me without shitting on the Knicks. I don't think he's ever said hi without shitting on the Knicks. Buddy Hill, what's good, Elijah? What's good, man? Well, so what team you pulling for now? What's your team now? Well, now that the Lakers are out, what are we doing? Do you transfer over to the Wolves? Like, what's up? Like, what's the move looking like? What's the move looking like for y'all? So, let me see, man. Let me see. But we do have a couple of games to go over. We'll kind of go over both of the Warriors games together. So let's go over this Nuggets Clippers game. 120-101. Russell Westbrook got attacked because he was telling everybody to go home. Jokic again had under 20 points and they won a game. Maybe David Adelman knows something that I don't. Maybe he knows something that none of us know, right? Maybe this whole idea of Jokic, you go get 18, 12, and 12, and everybody gets 20 some is the game plan. I don't know. I have no clue. That's rough, and everybody was talking about this when it comes to the Clippers, right? It really came down to the fact that James Harden didn't show up. That's really at the very core of it the difference. James Harden he didn't check into the game. He didn't check into the game, and he's, they were talking a lot about this because he has a history of this in big games, in the playoffs. Like, where are those 50 balls in a game 6? Where are those 40 balls? Like, where are those games in a game 5, game 6, game 7? Right? They're nowhere to be found. He had 7 points. And you can miss me with the 13 assists. 7 points isn't going to cut it. I guess Reds need a chop, I guess. But JT getting one should force people to give him the respect he is due. Getting one what? What you talking about? Like the chip last year? It's funny. I posted a short, right? I posted a short on, because we were talking about the Celtics. I was talking about how Tatum looked against them. And maybe things are a little bit different. But this has not only does it have 18,000 views, but there's a lot of people that are in support of Jayson Tatum. I don't know if all of Boston, they're sending this to all of Boston, right? If this is showing up to everyone from Boston or whatnot, but there's a lot of very positive things in there about Jayson Tatum. So I don't know, man. This Jayson Tatum hate might be manufactured. Like, it might just be some bogus media bullshit, because I'm not seeing it right now. I'm not seeing it right now. Fourth in jersey sales, only behind Luka, which we obviously know why his jerseys are so was number one. He's extremely popular, but the switch in itself, I'm sure, created a surge in those jersey sales. And then after that, it's Steph Curry and LeBron James. Those are the only people that Jayson Tatum is behind when it comes to jersey sales. So I don't know. I don't know. And like we've said before, I think right now this version of the face of the NBA being hated is kind of a prerequisite. Right? A lot of people say the face of the league for the last decade or so is who, right? LeBron, obviously, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. Right? Those are the three names. We saw it at the Olympics. Those were, that's the big three. And two out of those three names are very hated when it comes to LeBron and Kevin Durant. And I think Jayson Tatum fits that bill. There's a lot of closeted Tatum fans. I'm sure there's a lot of closeted Tatum fans out there. He's going to have the resume to back it up. I think, especially while some of these younger guys are coming into their own, like an Anthony Edwards, like a John Morant, like Cooper Flag is gonna be much younger. I don't know if they're gonna try to put him on that podium. Cade Cunningham, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Brunson. There's a couple of names people could throw in that, but while they try to figure all that shit out, I think Tatum is gonna be kind of next in line. So broccoli is solid. Broccoli is solid. Oh shit, internet just went out. Okay, we're back. Tatum is an acquired taste. Tatum is like Benadryl. What the fuck? We're back? Holy shit, what the fuck just happened? This shit just went out twice. Tatum is like Benadryl. It makes you sleep, bro. What? Yeah, I don't know what just happened in the internet. This shit just went out twice in a row. But coming back to the Clippers, Nuggets series, it really wasn't that competitive out of the fuck. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth streaming view. Open widget. What the fuck is going on? What just happened to my shit? Everything you can say about Jayson is hogwash. What the fuck does that even mean? What just happened to my fucking internet, bro? The fuck? Am I dropping frames? Let me see. Let me refresh my YouTube, bro. Shit. What the fuck is going on? Jokic, Luka, and Kawhi are all playing. All right, sorry guys. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on with this right now. Well, here come all the Curry dick riders. So we found the guy that don't like Steph. So there you go. I was literally just talking about the fact that the three faces of the league, LeBron, Durant, and Steph, 2 out of those 3 are very hated. And here come Derpy Entertainment. Oh shit, that's funny. That's funny as hell. Yet he is still boring. All right, All right, we gonna get lost on a tangent talking about that shit. All right, we're back to excellent connection. All right, let's lock in. Let's lock in. Let's lock in. I don't know what the fuck was going on with my internet right there, but we'll talk more about this Denver Oklahoma City series in a little bit. Let's go on to let's talk about the Warriors and the Rockets because I actually, we titled the episode Houston we have a problem, and I did it for a reason, right? Because I do think that Houston does have a problem, right? I think Houston for sure has a problem. Oh, I inspire kids to shoot threes and be selfish. You think that's Steph's fault? That's actually it's funny. It's funny because we've had that conversation here, Derpy. I actually put more of that blame on the Houston Rockets, Daryl Morey, and James Harden rather than Steph Curry. I think Steph Curry is the opposite of be selfish. I think he I think he is quite literally the opposite of that. I think if more kids actually played like Steph, um the NBA and the youth, the youth and their development, I think would be a whole lot better. And that kind of leads me to this Rocket series where Steph, I, Steph for most of this series was pretty much a decoy. Now, I don't know if that was by design. I don't know if they're trying to rest him, if there's something wrong with his hand, but he played off the ball, and I was begging Steve Kerr to put him on the basketball more to relieve some of the physicality, play more high pick and roll actions with Steph, because he doesn't even bring the ball up most possessions. He'll give it up, go off some kind of screen, look for a shot. If not, he passes it and they keep it moving. But in this series, especially the way they were defending him, he opted a lot of times to stay in a corner, stay in a spot, just to try to take away Amen Thompson or Dylan Brooks from the play, right? To take one of the great wing defenders that the Rockets have out of the play. And it worked sometimes. I think other times it hurt them because they were really having difficulty creating offense. If it wasn't in Steph Curry's hand, Jimmy Butler at times can still be a little bit passive. So, it worked in the end. They ended up, winning this series in 7, but I think at times it really did hurt them. Steph was magnificent last night, man. Steph, like, Steph was doing, like I said again, he was doing that thing that he had done all series, being a decoy until the fourth quarter came around. Jokic is boring as well. Rockets not the only team Curry sent home. Okay, that is fair. Not gonna lie. I mean, yeah, they are kind of boring, but they get the job done, right? They get the job done. I think being flashy don't necessarily mean the numbers, right? Like when Kyrie was doing all them flashy plays, he was averaging like 24. He was averaging like 24 at most. So why is the chat on my YouTube so behind? Oh yeah, the fuck the Spurs organizations for letting go of Poppy. Oh man, oh yeah, congratulations to fucking I mean, not congratulations, but well wishes to Pop. Well wishes to Pop. I hope he's doing all right. And he had a joke. He had a joke. I'm El Jefe. You gotta love Pop's personality, man. You gotta love Pop's personality. He had Manu up there and Tim. You gotta love that. You gotta love that type of, that type of personality that Popovich has. But I really want to talk about the Houston Rockets. I don't really want to talk about the Golden State Warriors. We'll talk about them a little bit more later. But I really wanted to have this conversation about the Houston Rockets because Fred VanVleet, not this past game, but game 6 and game 5, he had his 20 something, right? I think he had his 29 or whatnot. He was doing his thing. And so he was really doing more than what he's typically used to doing, right? He's in a position now where he's supposed to have young stars that could put up the numbers, and he can kind of just put everyone in place, right, as the leader of the team. And Jalen Green really failed in this series. And I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, but Jalen Green really failed. He had one good game. Literally one good game. And when you look at his numbers, right? I'm taking a look at it right now, actually. This game 4, game 5. This is games 6 and 7. All right, cool. I want to take a look at the shot attempts that he had in all of these games, right? So, and specifically in the losses, right? So, game 1, the Warriors won. Jalen Green, 3 of 15, right? Game 2, the Rockets obviously won, right? It was that one big game that Jalen Green had. Game 3, Warriors won, 4 of 11, 3-1 lead. Jalen Green was 3 of 8. Let me see. And even in this other loss, in their last loss, 3 of 8. He had how many games where he shot less than 10 times? In like 4 of these games, he shot less than 10 times. For me, I could get past the numbers. I could get past you scoring 11 points. You were 6 of 24 from the field. Because we could talk about, getting better shots, taking better shots, being in better positions, where you could try to get a pass and make your teammate better. We could have those conversations, right? We could try to fix that. I can't get you to be more aggressive. I can't get you to not be scared of a situation. That is a totally different problem from someone who wants to and is willing to take the shots and it be on them and take the blame. That I could work with as a coach, but I can't get you to speed up. That's extremely difficult to try to do. And I would be more on Jalen Green's side because he's obviously young and he's inexperienced, but you had the big game. You had the big game that should have proved to you, that should have showed you that you belong to be in this level with these guys, even with the Hall of Famers that the Golden State Warriors have. 38 that's nothing to just bypass. That's a massive game. And so, how do you tap into that person consistently? Because he didn't need to go and get 38. like that was the part. He didn't need to get 38. But he needed to shoot more than 8 times in a bunch of those games. And that's a real problem. There's a video of Popovich right now, Miami and Duncan. He looks really bad. He cannot coach anymore. That would be elder abuse. There is a real concern about Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter's status for game 2 against the Pacers. Yikes. Warriors were not taking the Rockets seriously. Curry was turning the ball over and Hield was not playing well. Warriors attempted too many threes and turned the ball over, which bailed out the Rockets. The Rockets are a terrible half-court team. Jalen Green scored better, Andrea, than the Warriors. I'm dead. I will say, though, I think the Rockets' defense could have given anybody problems. I'm not saying they would have beaten every other team, but it would have given any one of these teams problems. And like we said, right, all they needed was a little bit from Jalen Green and they could have actually pulled this series off. And so that brings me to their future, because I hate to say this, if you were to switch Jalen Green with pretty much any other star in this league, the Rockets at least make the conference finals. Just Jalen Green. You swap him out with any other star in this league. I guess guard, right? Then you make it even. Any guard that's a star in this league, they pretty much make the conference finals. And the difficult spot that the Houston Rockets are in is, if we want to win right now, or we want to compete right now, do we look at Jalen Green's potential and some of the games and the times he shows life, right? The time he really shows, oh shit, this guy could be a real star in this league. Do you bank on that and give it time, or do you move him now and bring in a star to compete for championships? Because I can tell you right now, we need more from Sengun in some of these situations, but he clearly is not fearful of the Warriors or this situation. Amen Thompson, he might as well be good as gold for the Rockets, because he's definitely not going nowhere. And when you talk about someone that is not in fear, he's top of that list for the Rockets. So the odd man out really is Jalen Green, because when you replace Jalen Green, the rest of the team plays defense. You just need someone that's going to score and compete, at least when it comes to their output, with the other stars in the league in the playoffs. And so that is the situation that they have right now. If you're the Houston Rockets, that's the decision that they're going to make in this summer, I believe. And that could determine a lot of things for them moving forward. The scary part in it is, if you're Jalen Green in this situation, right, and let's say they trade you, one of two things could happen. That could either turn him into an absolute demon, or that could shatter his confidence. We've already seen him shrink in these moments. 8 shots means that you were scared. 8 shots in a winner go home scenario means you were scared. We saw Paolo Banchero doing that. He was shooting every time versus 8 shot attempts. And so if you're that type of player with that type of mental, if you get traded right now as a young star, it could potentially shatter his confidence for good. And someone like him could end up being a role player eventually, because getting traded at this point where you're already showing signs that you're scared of the moment, the team that backed you and supported you, if they go and trade you right now, that could ruin someone's career. And that everyone be like, oh, he's trash. And it really was just the fact that they completely lost their confidence and they were never able to gain it back. At least not 100%. But that is that's the bridge that the Rockets are gonna have to cross this summer. And they have a lot of players on their team, right? Like we already talked about, Amen Thompson not going anywhere. I think Dylan Brooks is a massive part of what they do. Fred VanVleet, awesome player. And then you have, Atari Eason, Jabari Smith, and potentially a Jalen Green that you have to work with to bring in talent, right? You could trade maybe one or two of those and see what you try to get back in the market, and we could potentially be talking about the Houston Rockets competing for a championship, sooner rather than later. So that's the bridge that I think that they're gonna have to cross, but we'll see what happens. But big time win for the Golden State Warriors, and we'll talk more about them against the Rockets in just a little bit. What about them Indiana Pacers though, huh? What about them Indiana Pacers, man? They stole game 1. And granted, Darius Garland was hurt, right? Darius Garland was hurt. Bruce just talked about where was it that he just said? Real concern about Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter's status for game 2 against the Pacers. So that's really tough. That's really, really tough. But what did I say about the Pacers last week? Right? What did I say? The X factor is Andrew Nembhard. We said it last week. He is such an X factor because he is one of those players, right? I saw it last year. He's one of those players where through the first three-ish quarters of the game, he's regular. I don't know any other way to really put that. He's a solid player. He's already a solid player, solid defender. But something happens to this guy in the fourth quarter of games. And his handle is tight. He can hit big shots, fall away, fading, step backs. He could break someone down one-on-one. He turns into a different player in the fourth quarter. And he, along with Tyrese Halliburton in that fourth, were really the difference in this game. Tyrese with some big stops on defense, right? 2 blocks in that fourth quarter to go with his 9 points. Andrew Nembhard had 8 points, 2 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from 3, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Big step back at the very end of that game going to the right. He just does things that it almost looks awkward. You almost don't expect him to shoot some of those shots. That's why I think you see some of these guys get caught off guard. You're like, why the fuck would he shoot that? And then he hits it. And then you just there looking stupid. But he's really a difference there. And then something that I guess I wasn't expecting just because of the way the lineups are. I was expecting Jarrett Allen on Miles Turner, and the question that I had was, is Miles Turner going to be able to keep Jarrett Allen away from the rim, away from getting boards and whatnot? And Evan Mobley I expected to be on Siakam, but they actually flipped it. They actually left Evan Mobley on Miles Turner, and then they put Jarrett Allen on Pascal Siakam, who struggled shooting from the field a little bit. And, you know, he likes to shoot more in the mid range. He could step out and shoot a couple threes, right? He was 2 of 5, but he likes to get to his mid range. He likes to get to that spin in the low block. He'll give you like a little in and out, hezzy dribble, one dribble spin. He loves doing that move. And even though Evan Mobley was the defensive player of the year, you have Siakam, who's been in the year a little bit longer, a little bit older. I think he can overpower him a little bit, even with his small frame. And so the switch to put Jared Allen on him, I think, was really smart. But in the end, they just couldn't score, you know, in the fourth quarter. Donovan Mitchell, how many did he have in the third? I mean, he had 12 in the third. He was cooking in that third quarter, man. It felt like he was really cooking in that third quarter. I'm surprised he didn't have more. But you know, that's definitely something to just look after. I was watching Jeff Teague earlier. He brought up a Ty Jerome shot in the middle of the third. Cleveland was on a run that really kind of stopped all of the momentum. And it was great insight, because we've talked about certain moments like that, right? Where guys will take ill-advised shots. And especially when you're missing a player like a Darius Garland, who is a part of the typical offense that y'all run, it's hard to get back into a rhythm. And so some of these shots that they take in these moments end up being really, really bad, because it impacts more than just that particular sequence. It ultimately impacts the game. You know, if you completely stop the momentum for your team and you give momentum to the other team, things like that could really turn a game on its head and end up losing games, right? In a way, losing games. But I will say, man, if the Pacers end up getting lucky and these guys are hurt, wow. Wow. I will say too, though, Tyrese Halliburton, 22 and 13, he's really stepped up. If he's getting his 15 shots a game plus, he's very good. Very, very good. 1 turnover, 1 foul, 13 assists, 3 rebounds, a steal, 3 blocks. I mean, just what more could you ask for? So great out of them. Now, we got to talk about the playoffs and the second round, because the Cleveland Cavaliers have started it against the Pacers, but we now have the rest of the series finalized for the second round. So we'll start with my New York Knicks. Where do I start with this shit, man? I kind of talked about it the other day, right, last week. I think there is an opportunity here if you're the New York Knicks. Tatum has the wrist injury. Drew has missed a couple games. Jaylen Brown had that ankle injury going into the playoffs. Porzingis got elbowed in the forehead. I'm kind of hoping that these guys are hurt. I'm kind of hoping that they're hurt. But to get to the actual game itself, right? I think the number one thing is obviously to stop Jayson Tatum. He is their offensive hub. He generates a ton of offense for them, the defense gravitates towards him. So in man-to-man, we're going to see a lot of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges. And whoever they expect to set the pick is who the other player is going to be on, essentially, right? Or it's just going to be on Jaylen Brown, is how they're probably going to do it. Which leaves Josh Hart is probably going to be in a lot of pick and rolls. Karl Anthony Towns is going to be in a lot of pick and rolls. Jalen Brunson's going to be in a lot of pick and rolls, right? So how are they going to stop Jayson Tatum from matchup hunting? Because the thing about Tatum that's really changed, and I don't think he gets enough credit for, when he came into the league, he was a isolation scoring threat that could really shoot the ball. And since then, he's obviously gotten bigger, but he's also turned into a point forward. And the thing that separates LeBron, Luka, Jokic, those type of players are the fact that they can go and get their 30 plus and get 9, 10, 11 assists to go with their 12, 13 rebounds. That's really what separates them from other stars and other players. The amount of offense that they can create by themselves is a lot. And them being able to rebound the basketball very well also helps because it initiates offenses early. They get the rebound and bring it up. So how do the New York Knicks stop that? I think one thing that they're going to have to do for a lot of the game, in my opinion, because I think they're gonna have to give them different looks constantly. But the zone defense, I think, is going to play a role if they want to implement it. In my opinion, I think you box in one Jayson Tatum. I think you run a box in one. I saw the Golden State Warriors running a 1-3-1 last night. You use some of these defenses and force Jayson Tatum to essentially take a bunch of really bad shots. You're going to live with a Drew Holiday or a Jaylen Brown shooting threes in the corner because obviously the top three shooters that they're going to want to have is Jayson Tatum, Peyton Pritchard, and Derek White. So Jaylen Brown or Drew Holiday, you can kind of live with some of those threes. If they're settling for threes, that goes in our favor, especially Jaylen Brown, even though he can get hot from the three-point line. But I would implement those defenses on the Boston Celtics to really try to get to Jayson Tatum, force him to play a lot of one-on-one, get 35 on 30% shooting with 1 or 2 assists. If that's his stat line, I think that's very good. The other thing, the Boston Celtics are obviously a very good defensive team. They have a lot of good individual defenders, and they have a solid concept, I think, too, on defense. Jalen Brunson was on the record talking about how good of a defender Drew Holiday is. I hope that doesn't bite us in the ass because he's going to be on Jalen Brunson. Which leads me to this, because there's going to be a lot of pick and rolls involving Jalen Brunson and obviously Karl Anthony Towns. What the Celtics are going to do typically is they're probably going to put Tatum on Towns so that Tatum can switch that. Right? They're going to try to keep Porzingis off of him or Al Horford, whichever one of those bigs are in the game, because Jalen Brunson will take advantage of that, right? I think this is where it could get interesting. I have the short about Jayson Tatum taking these star matchups personally. I think you use that to your advantage. I think if you're Jalen Brunson, you get that switch on Tatum, isolate everybody. Isolate him. Everyone, you could do 1-4 flat. We could clear a side. Whatever Brunson wants to do, clear a side with Tatum. Force him to have to play you on defense. Maybe you can force some early fouls on him. Try to make it this mental battle where he forgets about the rest of his great teammates. Where he wants to make it about, I'm going to go get my shots and I'm going to shoot myself into this game. I think they're going to have to play some kind of psychological game on their best player in order to win this game. You chop the head, the rest falls, right? And so that's going to be, I think, what I would do, right, in terms of trying to handle these Boston Celtics. Because then, if you can take Jayson Tatum out of the game, you're dealing with a Jaylen Brown. You can try to give him room, try to force him into tough shots, and you could live with that, I think. A steady diet of that throughout the game. But if the ball's not moving, guys aren't getting their 3-point shots up, that'll work in the Knicks' favor. But I think Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns need to literally pick on Tatum. Right? If, some of those, they're expecting a pick and roll for Brunson, Cat just isolate and post him up. Just try to get some really early fouls, be extremely physical with him, and we could try to pull this series out. But for this game in particular, game 1, I think we need to steal this. I'm not going to lie to you. Especially if it's a series where everyone's going to flip-flop, right? We're going to win, they're going to win, we're going to win, they're going to win. We got to win this first game. I think that could set the tone in the series. So I think this game 1 is massive. I don't know if we'll actually win, but I think we need to win if we're the New York Knicks. So Knicks win game 1. Knicks win game 1. Let's see. What's the other game tonight? Oh, perfect. We're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So let's preview this series a little bit. I think some people are expecting the Oklahoma City Thunder to run through the Denver Nuggets. I think Jokic, we've talked about this before. The media likes to overblow this whole Jokic doesn't care about basketball. They asked him about it last night, right? They're like, oh, they caught you on camera being really vocal in the huddles. Is that just the camera catching it more or whatnot? And he said, yeah, I think that's exactly what it is, because he's always been vocal when he needs to. There's obviously the MVP on the line, and they asked Jokic about it, what he thought about the MVP, and he said, well, I'm just playing the best basketball in my life. I think he's going to be extremely motivated for this series. I think Jokic is going to have a massive series. A massive series. Whether they win or lose, it's going to be a massive series out of Jokic, because I think he's going to take it really personal. Now, for the Thunder, I think Shea does the same thing. So, some of the good basketball, I think some of it is going to get lost because these guys are, literally going to be going at each other. And there's an MVP that's going to get crowned. Doesn't it get crowned in the middle of this series, right? I think it's in the second round where they typically get crowned. And so someone is going to get the MVP with the other person there looking on. So we'll see how that affects this series. But I do give the edge to the Oklahoma City Thunder, because this is a series about, can the Denver Nuggets slow the game down enough to be able to hold on to victories? And in order to do that, they're going to have to, one, take care of the ball. They're going to have to, one, play through a lot of Jokic. Two, draw fouls, get to the free throw line, and execute in the half court. If you are the Oklahoma City Thunder, it is your goal to speed the games up as much as you can, which means turning the ball over, forcing errant passes, getting tips, being physical, getting out on the fast break. So which team is going to be able to force their style on the other team? And when it comes to the Thunder defense, Michael Porter Jr. has been hurt. I think we've seen Jamal Murray not be the best at times when it comes to really physical defense, and we've seen him be up and down in these series. So who is going to be the person that's going to handle that? I think Russell Westbrook is going to be extremely important, because out of everyone else, right? Him, maybe Aaron Gordon because of Aaron Gordon's vertical. But Russell Westbrook and maybe Christian Brown are the only players that could really match the athleticism and the speed of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So I think Russell Westbrook is going to play a key role in this series if the Denver Nuggets want to win. But I think the Thunder, they're going to force him to shoot threes. They get out to shooters very well. I like the Thunder in this series. This is game one in Oklahoma City. The Nuggets just played. I mean, it was a blowout, so they can't be that exhausted. But I'll take the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think the Thunder win game one tonight. Which brings us to the Golden State Warriors against the Minnesota Timberwolves. A lot of storylines. You have Anthony Edwards, who is again ascending. You have Steph and Draymond trying to get back to their championship level. And you have former Timberwolf, who had a really bad time in Minnesota. Jimmy Butler is now a part of Draymond and Steph. So there's a lot of storylines in this series. The problem with this Timberwolves series against the Warriors is this. The Timberwolves defense has been much better. Number one, it's been much, much better. But they have a lot more offense than the Rockets did. At least when it comes to their star player. Julius Randle can give you buckets. We saw Jaden McDaniels get off. Dante can give you some big points. They have firepower. The thing is, they don't have a Men Thompson to guard Steph Curry. So is it going to be, are you going to take your chance with Anthony Edwards on Steph Curry, or are you going to take your chance on Anthony Edwards with Jimmy Butler, with the chance of him getting in early foul trouble? and then Jaden McDaniels will take the other one. Or they're gonna start, maybe Mike Conley on him to try to hide Anthony Edwards a little bit. So we'll see how those matchups kind of shake out. I will say, if you're the Timberwolves, I think this is going to be another series where Naz Reid is going to be massive, because if Rudy is consistently playing in drop coverage on Steph Curry, that's going to be a problem. If he switches it, that's going to be a problem as well too. So, I'm looking forward to that Draymond Rudy matchup. They've let Draymond get away with so much. Draymond just found out that even with a technical foul, you can get a flagrant and not get thrown out. So Rudy Gobert gotta watch out. Rudy Gobert needs to watch out. He needs to watch out, which actually brings me to this. There's been talks about physicality when it comes to the NBA, right? Well, the first round of the playoffs, across the board, at times looked like the UFC. So all of this talk of there's no physicality, there's no defense, that's dead. That's dead. We've seen how the Knicks Pistons series was. We saw how they were guarding Steph Curry. We saw a lot in the first round of the playoffs, right? The Magic and Boston was extremely physical. Pacers and Bucks was getting physical. I mean, we saw a lot. So, I think all that stuff is dead. Defense is still a massive part of the league and has been and will continue to be. Another thing that we predicted, by the way. So, and then so we got to call game one of the Timberwolves Warriors. Actually, game one, they're in Minnesota. Warriors just played a tough series. I think Minnesota takes game one. And now that leads me to game two, which is tomorrow night as well, between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. If everyone is hurt, I mean, there's no way I'm taking the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's see. What's their injury report today? Are real concerns for Cavs ahead of game two? Hunter dislocated his thumb. Oh, it's quiet. It's quiet. It's crazy. I think Donovan Mitchell's about to kill. I think Donovan Mitchell is about to super kill. I think he's about to kill. I think he's about to really kill this shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if he went and got 50 in a losing effort. I wouldn't be surprised. Oh, and by the way, too, if you're the New York Knicks, remember last year when the Denver Nuggets were in flip-flops? I don't know if you guys remember that last year. Because their shoes weren't, they didn't make it to the arena on time, right? So they were warming up in flip-flops. If I'm the Knicks against the Boston Celtics, I'm taking that shit a step further. I'm taking it a step further. The shoes are going to get there. There just won't be no shoelaces on them. There's just no shoelaces. You have to figure that out. You know how long it would take to have to put the shoelaces back on every sneaker? Yeah, good luck. You have to figure out another way to get shoes. So that's what I would do if I were the New York Knicks. I would keep fucking with Tatum if I was them. If I'm Brunson, I'm going to wear Laker colorway Kobe's. I'm going to wear Celtic colorway Kobe's. I'm going to just fuck with them if I was the New York Knicks, man. We gotta pull every we got to pull every trick in the book. Every single last trick in the book is how we gonna have to do that. But we got to steal a page out of the Lakers, and we got to fuck with their and we got to fuck with them. But that's gonna do it for me for now, man. Before I get out of here, please like, comment, and subscribe. All that good stuff. It really helps the channel out. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, as always, for hanging out with me. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Derpy Entertainment. Thank you guys. Y'all been showing mad love on the shorts. But thank you guys, man. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you for that. I'll see